What's up, guys, and good morning. I've got an interesting episode for you today. We are in the blue lunar hand, and I guess the blue hand gives us a reminder that sometimes we are not just driving the business, but sometimes we're also storytellers, communicators, and we have to bring in some inspiration every once in a while. So I had some spiritual downloads, some kind of interesting thoughts. The thought was, every day our energy changing. What's the energy of today? I think today people need kind of a yellow energy. They're feeling a little tired. I think that there's going to be kind of a purification and creative vibe today in the blue hand. It's an artist code. The hands are the master of forms. And it's the joy and the fun of creating, like a game show or a talent show or a themed party. But yeah, we also have to grind, and there's also work to do. So that's kind of the 4 or 5 energies I want to play with today. The download that I got is that every piece of content that you're making is a story that you're telling. And when you make content, you should think about your audience in the terms of the comment section. You should think about what is the audience going to talk about in the comment section when they, watch this video or read this post. That's all they can do. So if there's no comment, then there was no response. So you got to think with the end in mind. With an email, emails are kind of one-sided. It's not like you usually email the marketer back. Emails are usually like newsletters and then just pushed posts, but it's like no response necessary. It's a one-sided pushing a piece of content. But social media allows for a comment section, feedback, this inspired me to feel this way. You're inviting comments, inviting a conversation. So we should understand that in marketing, guys, conversion comes from conversation. If there was no conversation in my head, or if I don't want to have a conversation with this person, with the person making the content or the coach or the audience or the client, these are relationships that are just potential like conversations. Would we enjoy talking to each other? Would we enjoy maybe working together? Putting our minds together. So it's about harmony and cooperation on the internet. But anyways, I got some downloads on my forms. Like the blue hand is helping me see what my form is. I am kind of more like a spiritual channel. Honestly, I feel the energy of the day and then I just speak on it, right? I'm trying to be useful, I'm trying to be conscious. Sometimes I'm a little crazy and dramatic, but for the most part, I am trying to have a good time. My success is in your excitement. I want you to feel excited about life, guys. We should see life as a celebration, but sometimes we get tired. Okay, sometimes it does not feel like a party. Yeah. And I think people value me for my social energy as well as my performance energy. And the social energy is just a unity, understanding the group, understanding what the group wants to talk about, understanding their needs and their pain. And so I think I'm able to just kind of tune into the airwaves. If you can tune into the airwaves, you can just feel it or hear it. Like you just know what they want to talk about. So, anyways, I got this kind of visual image of like DNA as an interesting spiritual download. The 20 Mayan zodiacs are like 20 strands of DNA, and the 13-day tone is like a 13 segmented strand of DNA. And you've heard some new age people talk about, 12 stranded DNA. I think it's 13 times 20. I think the Mayan wave spell is not only the way that our biological DNA is organizing our life, but it's also how the universe is organized. I think the universe is organized the same exact way, even as our cellular memory and genetic code. So, if there's, it's just a fun game to play, but if there's like 20 Mayan zodiac signs or 20 strands of DNA, then each day is just 5%, one of 20. So it's kind of like seeing how we synthesize 20 or just clusters of things. Chakras is like 7 chakras. I mean, whatever. 9 human design, centers, or 23 I Ching, whatever. Like, we're trying to like just break down reality in an interesting way that's useful and fun to talk about, right? Everything that we pay attention to on social media is an interesting conversation. It can be interesting because it's just like entertainment or crazy or like fun or dramatic or wild, but it could be useful, it could be productive, it could be refreshing, it could be stimulating and healing. So there's many flavors of energy, right? We're just trying to synthesize and create an interesting story to tell. This is the story of social media. This is the story of your life. This is the story of you and what is important to you, and you communicate that with your audience and with total strangers on the internet, right? We're just broadcasting this show, through every single post, every single comment is just a broadcast. Do you want to watch my show? Do you want to come hang out in my group? Can I occupy a spot in your schedule, in your time? Would you want to spend time together every once in a while? So that's all it really is, guys. Social media is just an invitation to have conversations with each other. Relationships are just conversations that we value, and it doesn't have to be a story like something happened, but it's also a story you're telling about yourself. This is your core identity, and this is your self-worth. So what's the story that you're telling yourself of your own identity, right? And do we want to change any parts of that story? Well, I used to be very toxic and angry and kind of mean. I want to be a conscious alpha who is at least aware of his flaws and willing to work on them. I'm at least willing to say, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to work on myself. I may fail from time to time, or I may fuck up, or I may say the wrong thing. But if I catch myself, or if somebody helps me see myself in a better way, then I will try to make things right, and I'll try to do the right thing. Okay? It's not always easy, but that is one of the lessons that I've had to learn, especially about masculinity. But anyways, so look at every social media post. I wrote some notes, but look at every social media post is a conversation. What would we talk about in the comment section? We could talk about the story that you're telling. We could talk about the values of yourself. The person that you desire to be is like a story that we're telling. And we can write all the qualities down on a list, but when we synthesize it, we're creating content, we're synthesizing it into like a story. My story is I've had to piece different pieces of the puzzle together. I've had to work on all these different, parts of myself, getting good at some things, really struggling in other things. This has been a story for me of personal ascension. It's my job to achieve the best I can in terms of a complete and balanced life. I believe I'm more of a spiritual guide of just understanding humanity and life and spirituality? How does that integrate with having goals and having fun? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be remembered for? The cool thing about social media is you need to be an entertainer sometimes, and you need to be a friend, and you need to have fun, and you need to show them fun things. They want to see fun and interesting content. So that will pay you eventually in terms of your brand. So you're allowed to have fun because when people want to follow a brand, don't they want to follow someone who they kind of think has kind of a life like they want or would be similar, in personality? But ultimately, you're having to show people things that they don't normally get to see, right? Otherwise, why would they watch your show? So you have to be competitively interesting and relevant to people's lives. Yeah, anyways. So there's just some downloads that I'm getting. I got like 5 new members yesterday. That's pretty good. Finally in the 60s now. I am a little bit of an exhibitionist. There is something in me that just like needs to get attention. Like I enjoy posting lyrics and I like to vlog. Maybe I'm a little bit voyeuristic or an exhibitionist. I think if you're extroverted, you're more of an exhibitionist. If you're introverted, you're more of an observer. So even though I may have a more introverted life, I don't go out that much, but I am very extroverted on the internet. And but we're both observing, groups, leaders, other people, and then sometimes we're the exhibitionist or have the spotlight. So anyways, you have to define the value in yourself, as a coach and as a content creator and as a community leader. You are determining what is valuable. The things that we're going to talk about today in this community is what I think all of us would find to be valuable. And I think that I demonstrate drive and intelligence. I think I am relatable and I try to be vulnerable. And I think I radiate confidence and energy. I think that's, my selling points. But I have to make sure not to just be this boring, like driving energy all the time, like a commander or a drill sergeant. There's more to life than just that. That's only maybe 10% of the grand total of life. We can't forget. Life is about adventure. Life is about fun. Life is about family. Life is about exploring who we are and having fun things to talk about, having fun things to do. So there's a lot more to life than just business grind, But yes, if you want business grind, I will give it to you to the fucking maximum. But there's more to life than that, guys. Fitness and music and dancing and nightlife and leisure, okay, and shopping and reading a book, or watching an interesting thing, So there's a lot more to life, guys, than just me as a business person selling high ticket. You also need to know how to grow, a following and a community. Is the same thing. It's just a conversation or conversations that people want to keep having. That's why they keep coming back, because maybe it's helpful or useful or funny or entertaining, all of the above. Sometimes we have to remember to put on our storyteller hat, our creativity hat. It's refreshing to see this, because our content can get boring if it's always just about, the business or the coaching process or what the transformation that we sell them. There's also got to be more than just that, because it can get boring. So anyways, I think that's all I really wanted to say today. we get results through repetition, but there needs to be a stimulating aspect of this. It needs to be mentally stimulating and interesting and different. Um, I think many people are uncomfortable with themselves, and sometimes we're all suffering silently and more than we tell others. We may keep it all inside. So sometimes it's healing, guys. Sometimes it's a healing process. Every energy of the day is telling a different story. So the blue hand is telling a story of forms and creativity and storytelling. You know what I mean? Um, it's the forms of this universe could be like a 13 strand DNA. Could. I don't know. It's a weird thought that I had. Sometimes we get spiritual downloads. Sometimes we speak as just agents, or channels. But you also have an interesting, flavor to your personality. And that's what keeps people coming back to you. You know what I mean? So we're just kind of navigating this. We're weaving through life. So I hope you guys can have a fun day today. Maybe a little bit more interesting, let your hair down. For me, the colors today are kind of more blue and yellow. Have some fun. We do need to still have some energy. Life is tiring. I just randomly woke up like at 3 in the morning. I couldn't, fall back asleep. So it's a bit of a weird energy for me today. But I did do squats yesterday. And I actually did a pretty intense session. So, yeah, my legs are going to be sore as hell tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. Have a fun day. Maybe what would be interesting in the comment section is, do you think you're telling more of a story to your audience? Or is it more about a story of our values and who we're becoming? Do you know what I mean? Is it a story like going out, or is it an internal story going in? That might be an interesting thing to talk about, because guys, that's what you're doing. Your about page, your school group, it's a conversation. What are we talking about? Healing. Oh yeah, there's one final thing that I thought was interesting. It's usually either performance or regulation or integration. No matter what you're doing, if it's any kind of coaching, it's usually some kind of performance or some kind of regulation. Even healing is a regulation, even clarity, emotional regulation is regulation, or it's kind of both, or, integration, integrating performance, integrating regulation. So I look at that masculine, feminine, and then the third, form of that, integration. So if it's fitness, or if it's, wellness, or if it's healing, or if it's inspiration and storytelling, or if it's a success mastermind, or consciousness, you would call like a healing thing, right? For me personally, it's mostly activation. And then I'm not going to lie, it's kind of like virality. We're trying to manufacture virality. I know that sounds weird to say, but that's what you're doing, man. Like, every single piece of content that you're making, you're trying to turn it viral. That just means being a better storyteller, telling more interesting stories, activating more of their curiosity. But, I'm driving excellence, and we talk about business. Mostly what I sell is immediacy and urgency. It's the urgency to make this happen now, and it's more of a red energy. But can we make better content? Can we optimize the story that you're telling? Maybe we just need a little bit more confidence in our ask, in our price, in our pitch, So it's all of these things. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing day today, and comment. What kind of story are you telling? Is it a story about the world? Is it a collective conversation? Or is it a story about... Oh, shit. My lock screen. Hold on. I gotta change that when I'm vlogging. I change that when I'm vlogging. I'm doing it on my laptop today. I just set up like a perch, like a big tall stand. Get an angle. Alright guys, have a great day today.